Okay, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, as you will know, the Government of the Republic of Ireland last Friday outlined a plan for emerging from lockdown, and the governments in Scotland and Wales have also in recent days given a sense of what they intend to do in a high-level way. The Northern Ireland Executive is working actively on our plan. At our meeting today, we have continued to make progress on it, and whilst I appreciate many of you are anxious for us to produce the plan immediately, it is important that the Executive remains focused on getting it right in the light of the latest medical and scientific advice. But I do think it would be useful at this stage to give you a sense of the thought processes that are shaping the plan. All of us in the Executive are very conscious that the emergency regulations we have had to implement had a dramatic impact on the way you live and how our society functions. We're now in the 7th week of living with restrictions that nobody wanted to implement. Families have made great sacrifices, socially distancing themselves from relatives, neighbours and friends, and government departments have had to introduce emergency measures to support the most vulnerable in our society, ensuring that the homeless are protected, that food parcels reach the most disadvantaged, and also, of course, vital medicines. Some businesses have had to close their doors and avail of the unprecedented financial aid from our national government and this Executive to furlough staff. Other businesses have managed to remain open to keep vital supply chains and services operating. They have had to implement social distancing in offices, factory floors and shops, and they have had to think creatively about their shift patterns. A lot of children have had to be educated at home and remotely, whilst the children of key workers have been cared for in some of our schools, and I want to pay tribute to the teachers and other staff who have made that possible. If we hadn't implemented all those restrictions, if we had chosen a different path, the first wave of the COVID-19 pandemic would have been a lot worse for Northern Ireland than it is. Our health service would have been overwhelmed, and I think it's sometimes easy to forget that. But the vast majority of you prevented that from happening by closely following the advice on social distancing and public hygiene. However, we have not yet defeated the coronavirus, and we won't until a vaccine is successfully trialled and made widely available. So until then, we have to learn to live with the virus while continuing to suppress it. Social distancing and other measures to reduce the spread of COVID-19 are likely to be with us for some time. So having come so far in successfully limiting the spread of COVID-19, the challenge for this Executive and other governments around the world is how do we loosen the restrictions in a way that is science-led, proportionate and, above all, not going to expose our society to another spike in infection. So in fashioning a plan, ministers are being guided by the latest medical and scientific evidence and analysis. We're looking closely at the current rate of infection, the estimated level of transmission and estimates of future trajectory on this pandemic once relaxation takes place. Another significant factor in our planning is assessing the capacity of our health and social care system to deal with COVID-19 cases and also, of course, the resumption of other health services. The Executive is also assessing the wider health, societal and economic implications of the current restrictions to determine which areas would pose the least risk and greatest benefit if we were to relax them. None of these decisions are easy. As we've said before, all governments are grappling with the implications of a public health crisis that we've never ever thought would come to pass. And COVID-19 has dramatically altered society and will have implications for the way we live for many years to come. So as we contemplate relaxation, and the media also focuses on that, we in the Executive are very conscious that there's a real danger of members of the public becoming distracted and assuming it's okay to resume what they might have been doing before. We need you all still to be on your guard. If you do go out to work, to go to the shops, get medicine or exercise, you still need to respect those social distancing guidelines, follow the 2-metre rule and, of course, wash your hands thoroughly. Adhering to those restrictions has been really effective up to now, and we cannot afford to become lax. We cannot act as if coronavirus has been beaten, because unfortunately it hasn't. and it still poses a real threat to you and to those that you love. So we are planning for change, but until then we need you to work with us, and know we will not keep the restrictions in place any longer than is absolutely necessary. Finally, before I pass over to Michelle, at the Executive today, we've also agreed to provide additional funding to complement city and growth deals. This will allow a range of proposals to proceed in the North West that have been worked up, subject of course to business case approvals. And the Executive has also agreed to establish a £100 million fund for projects in other city or growth deals that can enhance and put forward those particular deals. So this is a significant and it is a very positive announcement for the whole of Northern Ireland today. Thank you, Michelle.